Did you know the curious little monkey almost never made it to TV at all? His creators had to escape Paris on bicycles, carrying the original manuscript hidden among their belongings. From that escape all the way to the Peacock movies, Curious George went through watercolor books, stop motion, film, and streaming, changing his look more than once. Today we're going through the entire evolution of George, year by year. Stick around until the end, because the way the franchise closes out is going to surprise you. It all starts in 1941. Hans Augusto Reyersbach and Margaret Ray wrote and illustrated the first Curious George story while fleeing Europe on their way to the United States. It was published that same year with an initial print run of just 7,500 copies. Here's an interesting fact. At first, only Hans's name appeared as author because the publisher felt there were already too many women in the children's book industry. Margaret only got the recognition she deserved years later. George's design here is simple, watercolor-based, classic storybook illustration. Between 1947 and 1966, 6 more books came out, written by the same couple. Curious George Takes a Job, 1947. Curious George Rides a Bike, 1952. Curious George Gets a Medal, 1957. Curious George Flies a Kite, 1958. Curious George Learns the Alphabet, 1963, and Curious George Goes to the Hospital, 1966. Together with the first one, they make up the 7 original Curious George books. After these, over 200 more books followed, made by other authors and illustrators, adding up to around 75 million copies sold worldwide. 1982 marks George's first real leap to the screen, a 2D series produced by Alan Shalleck alongside Margaret Ray herself, which aired on Nickelodeon. Each episode took an everyday situation and let George's curiosity turn it into a mess. The design starts to round out a bit compared to the books, the watercolor lines disappear, and flatter coloring shows up, typical of TV animation from that era. Had you already seen this 80s version of George, or did you only know the PBS one? Almost at the same time, between 1982 and 1984, The Adventures of Curious George came out, a stop-motion special with 2 episodes animated frame by frame using real puppets. One adapted the original book, and the other George's trip to the hospital. The director used more than 5 different puppets just for the hospital episode, with every movement built frame by frame, which took way longer than drawing. It's, without a doubt, the strangest and least known version George ever went through, and the one fewest people would guess even exists. In 2006, George makes his definitive leap to the big screen. Universal and Imagine Entertainment bring him to theaters, with Will Ferrell and Drew Barrymore voicing the leads, and Frank Welker giving voice to George himself. Interestingly, it didn't do as well as expected at the box office, but over time, it ended up spawning an entire franchise. The design here shifts to a rounder, more colorful style, built for the big screen. That same year, 2006, the PBS Kids series kicks off, the version most people remember today, sharing the movie's design but adapted for TV. Even with a pause along the way, it kept releasing episodes all the way through 2022. In 2009, the second movie arrives, direct to video. George crosses the entire country to reunite a baby elephant with her family. Will Ferrell doesn't return this time, replaced by Jeff Bennett, who stays on as Ted from here on out. That same year, an hour-long Christmas special comes out, sitting halfway between the movie style and the series style. George and Ted count down the days to Christmas without knowing what to get each other. In 2013, 2 new specials from the series arrive, one dedicated to spring and another to Halloween, where George celebrates the holiday for the first time out in the countryside. There, he hears the legend of No Noggin, a supposed headless scarecrow who comes out at night to steal hats. Along with his friend Allie, he sets out to investigate the mystery while taking part in the town festival, complete with a costume contest and a hunt for the biggest pumpkin. As was already typical for this stage of the franchise, neither special made it to theaters. Both were made directly for TV and DVD. In 2015, Curious George 3: Back to the Jungle arrives. George is chosen to take part in an important space mission, but one of his antics sends him back to the African jungle instead. While he explores the place and makes new animal friends, Ted does everything he can to find him. In 2019, George accidentally crosses paths with Philippe, a spoiled monkey from a royal family, and the two end up switching places. It features original music from Andy Grammer. The design changes again, something a lot of viewers noticed and commented on at the time. In 2020, the franchise's fifth movie arrives, Go West, Go Wild, one of the first to premiere on streaming on Peacock. Months later, it was also released on DVD and digital, and in 2022, it had its broadcast TV premiere on PBS Kids. It's also the movie that sets up its direct follow-up, Cape Ahoy, a year later. In 2021, The Last Adventure arrives. George and Ted go on vacation to the coast, but end up searching for a legendary sunken ship alongside a local fisherman, his niece, and a baby seal. This ended up being, to this day, the last movie in the entire Curious George franchise. And so, a little monkey born from a manuscript rescued in the middle of a war ended up starring in 7 books, a series that stayed on the air for almost 20 years, and a long list of movies and specials that made it to theaters, DVD, and streaming. From watercolor illustrations in the 1940s to streaming on Peacock, Curious George never stopped reinventing himself. Which version was your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Hit like if you made it this far, and subscribe for the next deep dive into another childhood classic.
Football